signs, and so we do have the signs. I know there may be some changes with the signs coming soon, and Richard will announce that next month. But as far as riders and signs, and so we're definitely going to make sure that you all are up to date with the sign process. It's still the same right now, and you can rent a sign from us, or you can purchase a sign. And we do have the open house signs. We ask that you get the signs on Friday and have them returned by Tuesday, and so that way we can keep the inventory up for signs. Back agent, we have checklists, and we're continuing to modify those working checklists. So if you have any questions, check your back agent, look under documents and resources. If we're not available, we're always here to answer questions. But those forms in back agent, we spend a lot of time making those for you all, and they're very simple and they're easy to read, and you can definitely use those out in the field and to help with your clients. No cards. I know Venus is having a really, it's saving her a lot of time to prepare those folders, having your rep in there, having your no cards, pre-filled out, and you can send those out. You can send them out monthly. That could save a lot of time. Keeping those in your car, it's real helpful. And I have the stationery, so if you want to get with me, and we can definitely get that for you. If you haven't had a headshot, please get with me. We really encourage you to get your headshot and even put those on your business cards. That way someone can use those business cards and they have a face to put with your name. And so that can really help you with your marketing. Using our vendors is so important. I know Sheila's here. Sheila, we send her a lot of business and she's really good, and she's going to talk in a few minutes. But having Linda in the office has been very helpful. I know even with Logan and I, she's been able to help, and Tony's used her quite a bit this month. And Tony said that, using Linda has been such a big help for him and his clients. And of course, if your client is out of town, we can do those remote closings for you. As far as top producers, I'm excited to announce them. Venus Jones is our rising star. We haven't had a rising star in a couple months, so we're really excited about that. So congrats to Venus. Agent of the month is Angela Cristini. Angela. And Tony, he's our team player of the month. So Tony has used our preferred vendors consistently last month, and we're very excited. So a big kudos to Tony. Also our top producer. So we're excited for him. And Kathy Crow has received the Appreciation Award. We're really excited for Kathy, and she earned the lunch with Logan, so the 3 for lunch. So that was for Kathy Crow. If you all have any questions, please come and see me. I really encourage you all to attend orientation again, just to get a refresh. We will have one this Thursday at 10 a.m. So feel free to come in to chat with us. And, coming in 2 or 3 times is okay, just to see what's changed and what's updated, and just to give you a refresh. Okay? All right, thanks.
So just to remind you on that 3 for lunch, that's any month you close 3 transactions or more, and we're going to lunch. And your choice of restaurant, your choice, yes. And I think Tony is on track, what's it, 8 this month?
Yes, it's 8.
So, yeah, it's fantastic. So, all right. So I want to give you a quick market update. Sales up 12% for the month of June. That's great. And average price is up 10% for the month of June. Also, single family pending sales up 14%. So pending sales, showing activity would be considered what? Leading indicators in the market. So you guys as professionals, that's what you need to be talking about. Is anybody can read in the newspaper about where the market's been. These sales stats have already been in the newspaper. So, but what people want to hear from you is where's the market going? So that's where referring to showing activity, showing activity in pending sales is a true indicator of what we'll be seeing closing in the next month or 2. So with pending sales being at 14%, that's real strong. That's higher than the sales increase for just last month. That's fantastic. It's going in the right direction. So a few things that were kind of outliers that I wanted to point out. Leases. So for lease activity, the Colony the average rent is up 11% in the Colony at $14.50 a month. East Dallas, also another kind of outlier. The average rent in East Dallas is up 15% in the last year. That's huge, considering in the Metroplex rental growth is running about 5%. That's the average rental growth rate for the Metroplex is 5 to 6%, which has been extremely strong. That's a lot better than most markets around the country. That's also a lot better than what we've seen here historically. Usually annual rental growth, you see rent increases of 3 to 4%. We've been seeing 5%, and then when you see East Dallas at 15%, that's huge. So those are the outliers that you want to be looking for in your own market. So what are some numbers in your own market that's changing that may be a surprise to your clients, your buyers and sellers? So a few other things as far as just the regional market, DeSoto. I think Barbara and I were chatting about DeSoto earlier, and DeSoto, the pending sales were up 7% there, and active listings are down 29%, and the inventory is down 35%. So DeSoto is a hot market again. Lancaster, same with Lancaster, pending sales were up, and the month's inventory is down 46%. Only 1.3 months inventory in Lancaster. Something's going on in Lancaster. So that's where you guys do what? Rentals. Okay. So this is Mesquite, another great market. Pending sales in Mesquite are up double digit, up 11%. Ellis County up 21%. East Dallas, again, another outlier. Pending sales were up 12% in East Dallas, and it's only 1.5 months inventory. Southeast Dallas and North Oak Cliff, also really hot here in the Metroplex. Those are some of the hottest. We're seeing pending sales up there last month 15% from a year ago, and inventory is only 1.8 months inventory in North Oak Cliff. Carrollton, another hot market, only 1 month's inventory in Carrollton Farmers Branch. So that's interesting. A few others, let's see, Sachse, sales were down because there's just so little inventory, and the average price in Sachse is up 20%. That's a big increase. North Dallas, the average price in North Dallas up 29%. That's a big increase for North Dallas. East Dallas, the sales were only up 10%, but the average price in East Dallas was up 19%. Yeah, huge. North Oak Cliff and South Oak Cliff, the average price up 22 and 25% from a year ago. Big increases. Sunnyvale, Carrollton up 22%, and the Park Cities also up. Park Cities up 13%. So a few others that were interesting were Allen. Average price up in Allen. Also Prosper up 16% in Prosper. Probably all that new construction up there that's driving that. And Arlington also a hot market. So no big surprise here as far as what price points are selling in the marketplace. But the hot price points are over 40% of the total sales in the Metroplex are happening between the price points of 200 and 400,000. And that's where also we're seeing more sales in that price point. 1.6 months inventory, and the price, the so little inventory, the price point's 120 up to about 250,000. So make sure you're showing these types of numbers to your buyers in your counseling sessions when you're coaching them on multiple situations, because when you see less than 6 months inventory, that's an unbalanced market. Now it's real interesting. As you go farther up, if you're listing properties that are over $500,000, those properties over $500,000, depending on where they are, just showing them this chart is important, because when you go over $1 million, 11 months inventory. Average balanced market is 6 months. So when you have 11 months inventory, that's a soft market for $1 million plus. And that all depends on where it is, but make sure that they understand that. 800, 900,000. 8 months inventory. Now, this is just Metroplex average, but make sure that you're crunching that for your little neighborhood where you are. Okay, so that's our quick market update. Richard, you want to give us an update?
Okay, I just want to remind everybody, as far as back agent is concerned, it's really been working good. We've been using it less than a year, but please make an effort to get your transactions in as soon as possible. That could help as far as your closing is concerned, because it gives me an opportunity to look at something and let you know way ahead of time if there's a problem that's going to delay your CDA. So if you put it in there, I get a notification that I can go out there and look before the CDA is even released. As you know, the Texas legislature met this year, and typically every time they meet, there's some change to the Real Estate License Act. So there's a Senate Bill 699, which was approved. Typically, they wait till the first of the year for that to go into effect, but this time it's going to go into effect September 1st. So there's some changes to the contract that will be coming without a doubt, because it's mandated by the legislature. So TREC meets August 15th to approve those. So we're going to have like a 2-week time period before they're going to be implemented. So I'm going to be on top of that, and we'll have training ready as far as the contract changes, so that you guys will be ready to go on September 1st. There's also going to be changes to the information about brokerage services. And there's a form right now, it's called a TREC 1-1, which the broker is required to display that prominently. We have it by the printer machine back there. But you're going to be required to give that to your clients, just like you give them an IABS. You're going to have to give them this. And it basically just says that the Texas Real Estate Commission monitors all agents, and if you have a problem, here's the address to write to, but it's going to be a requirement to do that. The changes to the contract, for the most part, are not going to be that difficult, but there will be some changes, and we'll have those ready for you just as soon as possible. Okay? Thanks.
All right, Jeremy. All right, so speaking of back agent, there are a few templates that are ready to go as far as creating all your postcards and your Facebook posts. There's more coming, but there's a few there now. If you have any questions about it, just call me, we can go over it together. And then Angela's had some success with a postcard that she just put out. It was I have a buyer postcard. I have her, that way you can talk today. She has a really good success story that I wanted her to share.
Basically, it was, I actually did have a buyer, and the buyer was looking for it. The criteria was really, really strict. And we found a house that they loved. It was listed for $590. They didn't want to pay over $500 for it. So we placed an offer at $500. They counted back at $555. We went to $520, and we said no more. Couldn't get it under agreement. So, you know, we backed off for about a month. And then what we did was I said, you know what, Jeremy, let's put a flyer out in that particular neighborhood using my buyer's name, the real name, because we've already had a contract. So 2 days after they got that postcard, I get a call from the realtor saying, bring your buyers back. Because they knew that we were seriously looking for a home in that neighborhood. And now we're under contract for $535.
Just in case you didn't know, you always want to put your buyer's real name. You never want to put anyone else's name without their buyer's name. All right, that was it for me. Okay.
I just want to remind everyone that we do have our annual toy box donations, and so if anyone wants to drop off, it could be check, cash, whatever you all have, just a donation. And what happens is I go out once a year and I go and I purchase toys, and we put it in our toy box, which is located in the small conference room. And, you know, children can pick a toy and keep them entertained and quiet while we are handling contracts. So just get with me if you want to do that. And I'm going to do some toy box shopping around the first week of August, okay? Plug anyone in. John, this is for a headshot, and you have to redeem it within 30 days, okay?
I think this poll needs to be a little bit deeper. Okay, Justin?
30 days, Justin.
All right, Sheila,
30 days.
I mean, do you want to introduce what we're doing, or you want me to just?
Yeah, just
So normally, you know, I'm here telling you what home costs and covers and that type of thing. So this will be, you know, what is Zen, unscrewing the light bulb and screwing the light bulb in. This will be not getting a warranty, 101. I'll tell you a little story. the other day, one of your friendly competitors called me and he said, hey, I've got a seller, we're under contract, inspected the home, needs 2 water heaters. In fact, the plumber, the inspector had a plumber come out and red tag them, so all the water to the house is turned off. And I said, okay, so your seller is under contract, needs to sell the home, has a buyer hanging out there, and you need 2 water heaters. And so you're calling me, and he said, because we do not have a home warranty. I'm like, whoa. And you don't have a warranty, and this is somebody who absolutely knows better. He said, I know. When I presented the warranty, they didn't want it, and they signed the waiver that said, I do not want a warranty. And I said, well, then there it is. They did not want a warranty. They understood that they took responsibility for all these items on their own. That's what you assume at your own risk when you decline someone else who is going to take that risk for you. And you present that all back to them and tell them that their water heaters will be at their own expense, at the seller's expense. Of course, the seller didn't want to do it. All of that to say, I know a lot of your listings have warranties. I know a lot of your listings don't. I know a lot of your listings sell so quickly that there's not even time to do the paperwork that Jeremy and Erica want, much less put a warranty on, even though all you have to do is text me. But I highly recommend, for legal liability reasons, that if they present a home warranty, you say it covers these items, and they say, let me think about it, that's a no. That means no. Okay, if you have to think about paying 0 and having all this covered, that's a no. Then say, then for right now, I'll take that as a no. Please sign here and check. That makes sense? Keeps you out of a lot of trouble when you go back to a seller and tell them, now, none of this passed inspection. It would have been covered by a warranty. You pay. You need to pay for those repairs, because we must convey the property in good working order. Makes sense? No? Is anything I'm saying out of line with your market right now?
All right. So how do you, so there's no charge for the seller?
Right.
And then what happens if they choose another company?
No charge.
No charge.
Yes. It's all, we should just completely change all the paperwork for seller and call it no-brainer. I mean, it's idiotic that there is any listing out there for 30 days on the market, for 2 days on the market, that doesn't have coverage for the air and heat, plumbing and electrical and water heaters. It's idiotic. I have companies that have finally seen the light. Now, this is so aggressive, but I know, and some of you will be offended by how aggressive this is. Others of you will love it. I have some companies that just put seller coverage on every listing. It goes in when the listing is processed, it has an American Home Shield, and I'll tell you why. Your seller doesn't really get it. I know they've been a homeowner, but they don't get it. Inspection is going to show that the differential is off on the AC, that the water heater hasn't been flushed properly, that there's an electrical GFCI somewhere that needs to be looked at. And all those things would have been covered, and they would have paid 0 up front for the home warranty. So you may get somebody who signs off and goes, I don't want to pay for any of that. Well, you just paid more, because now you're going to cover those items yourself. At close of sale, is there a cost for seller coverage? There is. But it all becomes a no-brainer because you've negotiated a certain amount into the contract for the home warranty. Did I say that right? Did I say that clearly?
So the amount for the seller's coverage in addition to the buyer's coverage at
$75.
closing, $75.
If the buyer chooses American Home Shield, that would be necessary. And I know I'm getting negotiated out. I know you guys are trying to clean up your contracts to get the best contract through. I know you're pulling all sorts of stuff out, trying to get the contract to fly. But the warranty is the one thing that people will keep screaming about for 1 full year after closing.
So do you guys see any reason why you would not want seller's coverage in your properties? your listing.
So I'll just, let me be super specific, okay? So is it Justin?
Yeah.
Okay, Barbara. Okay, Barbara's got the listing. Justin brings the sales contract. Barbara's got seller coverage. Justin's contract comes in asking the seller to provide 1 full year for your buyer, and they mark it out. Your buyer can buy it themselves, but Barbara's seller is off the hook for anything, regardless of claims, regardless if I brought her 2 new water heaters. That's how bulletproof the seller coverage is, you know?
Pretty good. All right,
Okey-doke.
that's good, that's good
I'm gonna
testimony.
go make your lunch. Why, because it's happened with those 2?
Linda.
I just wanted to say thanks again for a great June. You kept me very busy. July's gonna be even better. I'm looking for more contracts for next month. I wanted to introduce Brooke Owen. She's our VIP of marketing and also the director of our continuing education. She just wanted to come in and say hi to
Thank you.
everybody. Looking forward to meeting all of you guys.
Great, glad you're here. And thank you for all the great work you do, Linda. It's really, we really appreciate you. And the convenience of you being here on site is really wonderful. I'm probably in your office twice a day. All
I'll
right.
stop by anytime.
Thank you. Barbara.
Good morning. Good morning. Okay, well, the only thing that I have to say today, basically, it's not real good news, but it could be later on. We talked about all the down payment assistance programs, and actually, the Attorney General's office did an audit on a company out of Arizona that does a lot of down payment assistance programs, and has found them to be illegal, basically. That they use the interest rate is higher than the normal rate, and they're using those funds to give to the client for down payment assistance. This has been going on for 20 years. So everyone is fighting back, including HUD. So we're hoping there's going to be a resolution on that this week, but right now all down payment assistance programs and grants are suspended throughout the United States. So that's a big deal, but they're fighting really hard to get it back. The argument basically is that now they're discriminating against low income and first time home buyers, basically, that don't have the funds for the down payment. So I don't see HUD not going ahead with the programs and all this getting taken care of, but right now it's a bump in the road. So everyone's scared to do it because the amount of money the one lender is going to owe is somewhere in around $10 million.
So what about contracts that are currently pending with down payment assistance?
They would be not qualified. You can't register them for the grant programs right now. Seth and TDHCA and TSHAC have no comment. They're on hold waiting on HUD's determination with the argument with the Attorney General. So we're kind of all in limbo. Most of the buyers, if you find that they have, what I've done with some of them is that I just go ahead and premium price it, because they're not getting in for zero money unless you have a lot of seller contribution, which in this market, I don't think you get a whole lot of seller contribution anyway. But if they have the 3.5% down payment, then you premium price it so that all the other costs are covered, and the interest rate ends up being the same interest rate that they get with the grant program. So it's just, you understand the reversal? We're just gonna pay the closing costs and they're gonna pay their down payment now, and then we don't have the grant. Okay, so there's a way to get there. I found a way, yes, because I've done it for people that don't have a credit score that qualifies for the grant. I can do the same thing for them. They just have to come up with their down payment, and I can cover their closing costs with the grant.
What about tips for getting offers accepted? Have you seen anything creative lately or anything that's?
And nothing really out of the normal other than the buyer pays title policy. And you don't ask for the seller to pay for the home warranty. I know she don't want it, but you have the buyer pay for the home warranty. If they want it, they can pay for it. And for some reason, that seems to be working.
What are some of the, are you seeing any terms in contracts that seem aggressive or unusual when getting these things accepted? Maybe, high option fee, no option, period.
They want the-
50% earnest money.
Those things really it didn't seem to matter. A lot of it has to do with the approval letter, and now the CFPB has come back on us about the approval letter that I sent out. You can't say that the loan is approved unless it's been underwritten. You can't underwrite a loan unless you have a property. So it's a catch-22. So we have our own it's a conditional qualification letter, which basically says you're approved subject to a property, but you can't use the word approved anymore. So there's lots of rules, but having that letter, and a lot of times I will call the listing agent and say, they have A+ credit, they have their funds, I've verified everything. Or I'll just send them a little email.
So that's a good tip to know, is a lot of listing agents don't even know that probably, that they can't use the word pre-approval letter. So when they get a phone call from the lender saying, this doesn't get better than this buyer's approval.
And a lot of times I'll put it in the email when I send the letter, because sometimes I think that the agents just forward that email, that the clients are, A+ client credit, ready to go. I have everything, we can close in 30 days. So, and we're able to close in 30 days. As long as we don't have to wait 5 days before we can do the inspection.
What are some war stories or you've had where files transferred to you and other lenders that couldn't close?
If I get a client that's been not approved somewhere else, it's usually because it's just an inexperienced loan officer that doesn't know how to actually analyze the credit report. Because most of them are going to be credit challenged, is what they are. But just because you have no credit score doesn't mean you can't get a mortgage loan. As long as you have no score, and no score doesn't mean that you have 25 collections, and that's why you have no score. But if you have no credit, you're not going to have a score. But you will have no score if you have a bunch of collections too. So that works both ways. A lot of times I can take a client to an FHA loan where they can't get a conventional loan.
All right.
Okay?
Good.
Any questions?
All right.
I just want to add one final thing. Barbara's being here reminded me of it. I forgot to mention this, but more than likely there's going to be a change to the contract that if it's a mandated requirement for the lender, the buyer's going to be able to extend that closing date 10 days because the process that they go through and the time stamps and delays on that. So when you think about how that could impact if the seller has to close on their house, but this closing got delayed 10 days. So it's going to be critical that you guys are working with lenders that and they're going to get the job done. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of headaches. So, did you have a question, Mark? Okay. That's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, I don't know if Kimberly's on the line or not.
She is.
Okay, Kimberly?
Hello, good morning, everyone. So I wanted to just go over a couple of things. So we have started this month, I've been doing some agent surveys. Each month after your first closing, I'm gonna call you to go over a survey just to see how things went with our preferred vendors. Things that you'd like to see done differently in the brokerage. I won't go over all the questions, but please be expecting that. The other thing I'd like to remember is in order to get your guys' office fees waived, one of those things to do is to make sure your buyers or sellers are completing their surveys and getting them back into us. We haven't had very good luck with that, so we could sure use your help in reminding them. I know our preferred title company has copies of the surveys. Obviously, not every title company does, but I do send them out at closing when I'm sending out the CDA. The boom boxes. That's something that some of you guys are using and some of you don't. I know, Rupel, for instance, she was able to exceed her client's expectations. We sent out our complimentary box and she actually sent out a second one to them. So she had great success with our moving boxes. Her clients really enjoyed it. And as long as you're only sending the one set, it's free of charge to you guys. It comes in, with your guys' transaction fee, as long as it meets the criteria for that. So let's make sure we're using that. And let's use our preferred partners. I know Tony got an award today for using, he's been using our title company and I think one with our mortgage company. That makes a big difference. They can offer marketing dollars and some different things as long as we're giving them the business, as well. So please continue to do that and let me know what your, anybody that you use that's not on our preferred vendors. We're always trying to update that list with good people, and we always want to go from our agents with people you guys have had experience with. So please let me know anybody you'd like to see added on there.
All right, you guys have any, I know we just added another lender to the preferred vendor list, and then we also have, I think we added another photographer as well. So we're always looking for feedback on, and the star rating, make sure you understand that star rating system. If it's 5 stars, then that means they've been referred by a client and a realtor. If it's 4 stars, they've just been referred by one of you guys, a realtor. If it's 3 stars, then that means they've lost a star, because the only way they get on there is that it has to be 4 stars or more. So maybe we've had a complaint on them. So that's kind of your key for that star rating system. We have 2 complaints, they're gone. So we want to make sure that we're really adhering to that and that we leverage our preferred partners. And I know Claudia's husband Jose has done a lot of work. You guys have sent him a lot of work, and he's done a great job for us. So we want to continue that with more other partners as well. Barbara's been fantastic as well. So any other feedback, we're always looking, I think Kimberly may have mentioned it, but she's now surveying you all every 30 days after your closings to get a kind of feedback on us. So that way, and the questions are very specific into certain areas of the firm of what we offer, what we don't offer. So that way we can learn more about how we can serve you guys better. So be cognizant of that and mindful of that too in those surveys. And anytime you have a concern, then be sure to voice it in that survey after closing. And just to tag on to what she said about the client surveys, to get your monthly office fees waived, your clients don't have to turn in every survey. We just have to have, you just need to have an average A rating on your survey. So we know not every client's going to do a survey, no matter how much you try. But if as long as you can get, it's just like on the title. We know not every deal is going to go to Millennium Title, but as long as you have 1 out of 3 or 1 1/4 that are going there, then we know that you're trying. So that's why Tony is the Team Player Award. We just started with that award this month because we see an effort that you're trying to all work together as a team, then that's the whole point, the whole goal, that we can collaborate and do better quality work if we work together as a team. So, all right, with that being said, let's get to lunch. Thank you guys. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.